Today is the 28th.
Of November.
No, 27th.
27th. Okay. 2010?
It's 2010, 27th of November 2010. I'm Gabriel Raam, I'm sitting here with Danny. And
Well, a lot of times we talk about emotional maturity.
emotional maturity?
Yes.
Okay.
And I saw phenomena in children that the way they eat food, they don't like it when the texture is not uniform or homogeneous, and that the different things that they eat must sit in different parts of the plate, and they cannot invade one another. Even they make these plates which have splitted from plastic. And when I look at grown-ups,
You see it in all children or just in one child?
in a lot of children I see it, and I see that they even make special plates for it.
Okay.
The plates are divided, they have several divisions, so you
Okay.
can put different parts of food in different places and they won't mix. And I saw many children that when things invade one another, when borders are being invaded from one another, then it causes them great distress regarding this. And I see grown-ups and they all like to mix things, and a lot of times they like to put sauce on rice, and they like to put they like to mix it. And well, it seemed to me that it should be upside down, that
Right.
children would rather
Mix
have
things,
mix things, and grown-ups will divide things.
Right.
And
And what did this have to do with emotional maturity?
well, logically, maybe it's wrong to put it in this manner, but logically it seems that if a child does it, that this is immature, and when grown-up does something else, this is mature.
Okay, so you're saying that division should belong by right to emotional maturity,
It
and
seems.
chaos or mixing
Yes.
is more associated with infantile state.
Yes.
And here we see something opposite.
Yes. And I was wondering if you have any interpretation of this phenomenon.
Not at all. Not at all. I must question that. I don't know to what extent your observation is based on actually majority of kids who do that.
Yes.
How many kids did you observe do that?
Quite a few. Although maybe I mentioned I saw it specifically in mine, but I also see that the plates are being created with divisions.
Yes, but that could be because adults don't
Yes.
want children to mix the food.
Oh, that's also a possibility, right? But children also, they like to eat always the same thing, and if they modify things that if you do it a bit differently, it automatically creates a dissonance in them, and they oftenly would reject food that is made somewhat differently, or they would object to putting new kinds of food in their plates. I don't know, I think that a lot of children, they like schnitzel and chips, and with ketchup and Coca-Cola, and or McDonald's, and
Yeah, children like very powerful tastes. They don't have delicate taste buds.
yes,
It's still wild, it's still primitive, so
Yes.
they need junk food
yes,
to feel. And with it, it is very narrow because they didn't widen it yet.
yes,
so they are restricted to basic foods which they know,
Yes.
which gives them a good feeling. So
Yes.
they like particular foods and they like junk food. It has got a very powerful effect because the taste buds are not yet fine enough.
Yes.
They didn't educate them. But as for your question about division of foods, I don't have an answer and I don't know to what an extent it is based on actual facts.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. And okay, so I can ask another question. I had a lot of. I've been thinking a lot about the relationship between morality
mhm.
and empathy and humanity.
Right.
And I wanted. When I thought about it, it seems like it's a contradiction. And
What?
being moral and being humane.
Okay.
That if you are moral, you are. If you are moral, you're only humane to people which belong to your sector.
Is it? Being moral is being only human to people that belong to your sector?
I think so. For instance.
Why? Morality is acting according to specific norms of justice and goodness,
Yes.
which are accepted by a certain group.
Yes.
Because morality might change from group
Yes.
to group. So, by morality, if I see an old woman wanting to cross the street, by morality, I feel obliged
Yes.
to pass her the street, but this has nothing to do with people that I know.
Yes.
Morality is also to do with people that you don't know.
Yes.
You've got moral rules
Yes.
and moral etiquettes, how you should behave with people in certain situations.
But suppose there are two religions, and in both religions,
What do you mean both?
if you have two religions who
Okay.
believe in different gods, and one religion, both religion have the same moral issue of not killing, for instance, but they don't think that but it's wrong to kill within themselves, but if they kill each other, it's okay.
Okay.
So I would think that being humane is something that is cosmopolitical, and to be moral is to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think to be humane is to treat all human beings just because they are human beings in a considerate, supporting, caring way, just
Yes.
because they are humans. Being moral is acting by specific rules which are fit to a certain society, according to the norms of this society.
So morality is conformity.
Morality is social.
It doesn't have to do with humanity. In the base, it's
not at all. Not at all.
It's two things that not even they are not contradictory, but they are.
See, the morality is being good, being
Yes.
moral, being good. But what does it mean to be good, and how being good expresses itself
Yes.
changes from period to period, to society, from society to society.
Yes.
In Indian society, Hindu religion, being good is not killing cows.
Yes.
For us, it's quite moral to kill cows. And
Yes.
but being human is not something that you are educated to. You're not conditioned to. Not like morality. Being human is an inborn thing. It's a quality of the soul.
Yes.
And as long as you are connected to your soul, and you do not have barriers or conditions or things that separate you from your soul, then you should have naturally, I think it's natural,
Yes.
to act in a considerate way towards other human beings just because they're human beings. I think we are born this way.
Yes.
There are powers and forces which are introduced to us later on that could strengthen our ego,
Yes.
and certain hidden ways that society actually allows not to be human to each other.
Yes.
But I think we are all born with empathy and humanity towards other human beings, but it could be overshadowed
Yes.
by the hypocrisy of society that preaches morality from one end, but actually practices alienation
Yes.
and coldness towards other human beings.
So you're actually saying that within a certain society which abide to the same moral rules, it's not real humanity.
No. Morality has got nothing to do with humanity. Both look good,
Yes.
but morality is to do basically with norms of specific society. What the society considers to be good attitude
Yes.
and good etiquette.
I think that in a certain sense, if
For example, in Eskimos, it's considered to be moral and good to let old people die in the snow.
wow, not know that. I wanted to say that if you're acting in a humane way, you will most likely to act in a moral way.
Not at all. Don't think so. I told you that I think that there is no parallel between both,
Yes.
because you could be moral and yet not have consideration to other human beings.
Yes. But can you be humane but immoral at the same time?
Yes. You can consider other human beings, but you can not obey to norms of society.
Yes. But is there a way to act in the world which is humane but contradicted to morality?
Yes, for example, euthanasia, killing people out of pity because of their suffering.
Okay.
You can consider it to be humane thing.
Yes.
If a person wants to die and he suffers, consider humane. But morally speaking,
Yes.
you make a crime.
Yes. I understand. So you're actually saying that morality and humanity are two different islands.
Both appear as good,
Yes.
because moral is a different name for acting in a good way.
Yes.
But basically the source of morality is social,
Yes.
and it's obeying norms, whereas humanity is giving another human being the best possible attitude
Yes.
just because he's a human being like you.
I understand.
To what an extent what I said is new or contradicting what you thought, or how do you receive my answer?
I find it surprising, because I would consider that you would say that being moral is something bad.
Bad.
Yes. That it's conformity. And
It is conformity.
And it's making people act as people who were not authentic, in a non-authentic way.
That's true.
And therefore they're contradicting any possibility of humanity and alienation between people inside the society.
Well, that depends. What does the morality say? As long as the morality contradicts humanity, then yes, being moral means that you're not human, not acting in a humanistic way. But if it's not contradicting, there's a lot of moralities which have humanity in them.
Yes. Well, what I thought is that if acting not out of authentic manner, if I'm being moral, if I'm acting to be good, not because I am really thinking, believing, and being there in with whole of myself, but because somebody told me it's a good thing to do it, then I cannot be humane anyway, and in this way it's contradicting.
Let's give an example. If morally you see a hungry person and you give him something to eat,
Yes.
considered a good thing in society,
Yes.
then you are also being humane.
I'm
You
not,
see, there shouldn't be a contradiction that if you are moral, then it's not necessary that you're not human.
Yes.
There could be points when both meet.
Yes.
The only difference between them that being human is a natural tendency of the soul,
Yes.
of caring
Yes.
truly for another human being just because he's human. And morality depends.
Yes.
Morality is first of all obeying the norms of society, and because it's norms, you say it's good.
Yes.
But it could be unhumane,
Yes.
but it could be also humane.
Yes. So
It's operating on a different level,
yes.
different, obeying to different rules, but could be points
Yes.
that both meet. That being moral and being humane is the same.
I don't know why it's hard for me to put both of them. Why must they separate them? Why must
I'll give you another example. If you sit in a bus and you see an old man coming,
yes.
and you give him your chair, that's moral, but
Yes.
it's also humane.
Yes. But empathy and humanity.
The question is why you do it.
Yes. Does it matter?
To the person who is old, it doesn't matter.
Yes. But does it matter in an objective way? Was there a real
What do you mean
connection?
objective way?
Was there a real connection between both people? Was there alienation inside it, or was it truly? Did it happen really?
Yeah, it happened. The old person could sit down now. He doesn't care if it came from morality or from humanity.
Yes.
The only meaning is that if you act for morality, that if the morality changes because you go to a different country,
Yes.
then you will stop being humane at the
Yes.
points where the morality doesn't tell you to do so.
Yes.
If you are dependent on social conformity to be human,
Yes.
it's a sad thing because it's not coming from the inside.
Yes. I understand.
I think morality, as far as humanity is concerned, is coming to cover up
Yes.
the empty space of lack of humanity.
Yes.
Because people are not humane,
Yes.
and because society is not humane,
Mhm.
society wants to cover up the naked flesh
Yes.
because if people would be humane and if society would be humane as a society, you wouldn't need a morality
Yes.
to act in a humane way.
So
So society is the one that invented alienation,
yes.
and at the same time it's the one that invents morality to act in a humane way to hide the fact that there is alienation.
Okay. So people will never try to be humane because they will think that they're already humane because they are moral.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I'll give you an example. If you are in a queue in a bank or a
Yes.
place like that, there's a lot of lack of humanity there. There is silent hostility between the people who are standing in any queue.
yes.
That's bad. And
Yes.
if people would be humane, there will be warmth and flow and
Yes.
free dialogue between the people, and not these walls.
Yes.
And because there is no humanity, the morality is saying that if someone falls down, or
Yes.
if a baby drops something, you help him. So
Yes.
social morality is actually patches
Yes.
that comes to hide naked flesh of lack of humanity.
So in this way, people are blinded by morality and
That's
don't see
right.
humanity.
That's right. For example, the whole Institute of Social Workers.
Yes.
If we really care about old people and lonely people and poor people, naturally, you wouldn't need the establishment of social workers.
Yes.
But we look around, we see social workers, and we say, oh, how great we are that
Yes.
we have the Institute of Social Workers. But no professional establishment could be a substitute to real care of one human being to another.
Yes. Amazing. So, in this sense, it is contradictory because people are blinded because the morality shades the real humanity. And I think in this was my inner conflict in this because it seems that there can be meeting points and in abstract things it can...
The only difference is what is the reason that you do good things to other human beings.
Yes.
Is it because it's a natural thing in you, or because it's imposed by social order?
And what you're saying is that always there is something natural, it can be shaded by something.
Yeah, social norm can do two things. It can cause alienation and kill humanity by introducing competition and comparison.
Yes.
And at the same time, because it doesn't look good, introduce morality that will hide the alienation.
Yes. I think nobody will... very few people would agree to the fact that in any queue there is competition. Never would think about it even.
Okay, so let's leave Q. Let's talk about driving in the road.
Yes, yes. No, but it means, what I mean to say is that this is hallucination.
Yeah, but everyone will admit that there is competition in the road.
Yes. Everybody would admit that there is competition in the road.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. So a road is a place where you don't have to give an account to people who know you.
Yes.
So you can allow the unconditioned aspect of you more freedom.
Yes.
But if you would have humanity, you wouldn't behave like a wild beast.
Yes.
Basically, the social norms and morality is a thin coating
Yes.
upon alienation and competition that exists between human beings.
Yes.
The moment you introduce education and conditioning at the age of 5, 6, that's the age where the soul stops to be the queen of the empire.
Yes.
And the moment the soul gets restricted, it kills humanity as well. Because
Yes.
humanity is the first expression of the soul.
Yes. And
Human warmth.
the more sensitive and delicate a person is,
The more the soul is free with the, and grown up,
Yes.
because the soul can grow beyond the age of 6,
Yes.
then the more the expression of humanity will be there.
Yes.
But for a person who has humanity and a grown-up soul, to act like that in society and not to have competition and not to have alienation means that he is vulnerable, because the other people will interpret his humanity as a permission to make of him a victim.
Yes. And in the game of competition he will lose.
He will lose.
I understand. I think you answered my question in a brilliant way. I have a third question that I wanted to ask you, and I've been reading Aldous Huxley, and the
Dose of Perception.
Dose of Perception, and in there was there was a passage that caught me, and he said that, and he raised a question, and I wanted to know if you have a view on this. He said that people are a group of islands. They can't really communicate with each other, and the experience cannot be transferred. We can discuss things in logical form or in things like that, but can somebody know somebody else's experiences?
Of course not. He can know it to the best extent of the ability of both to have intimate, positive dynamic.
Yes.
The more they are able to be intimate with each other, open to each other,
yes,
and the more there are dynamic feelings between them, the better will be the flow of communication that will pass experience from one person to another. But it will be limited because one person could not experience fully what the other person experienced, but one can pass it to the best of his ability.
So there is no possibility to really break down the barrier?
Of course not. We are born separate. We are born lonely. We will die lonely. But we can create bridges.
Yes. And the bridges is openness and positive.
The bridges is passing experience. But first of all, to pass an experience, you need to have openness, you need to have trust, you need to have intimacy, and you need to have absolute positive dynamic. If one of those is not fully existent, it will damage the flow. Communication is very fragile because it's dependent very much on the emotions, and the emotions get hurt very easily.
Yes.
And get closed.
Yes.
So, but if the emotions are totally open and positive dynamic, you can pass your experience to the best of your ability.
Yes.
And it's never 100%.
Yes.
Because everyone will experience your experience in his way.
Yes.
And you couldn't pass all the experience. You can pass what is possible.
Yes. And,
but the problem is that most people don't pass even what is possible because problems in communication, lack of intimacy, estrangement, lack of openness, negative emotions, negative dynamics.
Would you say that consciousness dialogue could overcome this?
Definitely not. Consciousness dialogue has got nothing to do with good communication. Good communication is to do with the passage of energy and feelings between people.
Yes.
It's to do with trust, it's to do with good feelings. Conscious dialogue is to do with understanding and having an independent view, neutral view,
Yes.
non-subjective,
Yes.
to see what is happening from an independent point of view.
Okay, so I understand that my misconception may be that if both people are neutral and non-subjective, then they can create a channel that will bridge over the differences from my experiences to his experiences.
Consciousness and neutral dialogue has got nothing to do with passing experience. It's to do with understanding.
Okay.
Passing experience, you don't need consciousness.
The experience of knowing, it cannot be something that is shared?
Experience of knowing?
Yes.
Knowing is not an experience. Experience is experience and knowing is a knowing.
Okay.
If you experience something, you can know it.
Yes.
If you know something, it's to do with experience. Because if you know something which is not experience, it's a sterile knowing, it's intellectual.
Yes.
But if you pass experience, you don't have to know.
But it is also an experience to really understand something fully.
You need to have experience to understand something fully?
No. What I'm saying that I've experienced things in my life, and I also read books and accumulated some knowledge, and sometimes I understood it, but there was a different understanding when I combined experience and knowing.
Sure, that's what I said before.
Yes.
Knowing is good only when it's a knowing about experience.
Yes.
Knowing, not knowing about knowledge,
Yes.
because then it's sterile. So you can know your experience.
Yes.
You can know or understand other people's experience. But passing experience from one person to another has got nothing to do with knowing or consciousness or neutral vector. It's to do with openness, trust and positive dynamic. It's two different levels. Understanding is understanding, experience is, and communication is experience and communication. Two different things.
Yes.
I can communicate to your understandings and knowings, or I can communicate to your experience.
Yes.
It's two different levels.
Yes.
It's the level of being and the level of knowing. Experience is about being.
Yes.
Understanding is about knowing.
I understand.
Consciousness is about knowing.
So you're actually supporting Aldous Huxley's paradigm that humanity is a group of islands.
Not at all. The fact that I couldn't experience what you experience the way you experience it doesn't mean that I couldn't pass my experience to you in the best possible way.
Yes. I understand.
You see, if I talk about a certain fruit which is grown in a certain island,
Mm-hmm.
it's not grown in another island. But if there is bridge between the islands and I have trucks, I can pass this fruit from one island to another.
Yes.
That's what human beings can do. That's why we communicate.
Yes.
It will never be perfect.
Yes.
The fruit will never grow in that island. It wouldn't be as fresh.
Yes.
But it could be transferred. I can transfer to you my experience. That's the art of communication.
Yes. The better you do it, the more full you pass the experience to
That's
another
right.
person.
That's right. The more there is alienation, lack of trust and negative emotions between people, the lesser is your ability to pass your experience to another human being.
So if I understand correctly...
Communication is never perfect.
Okay. Okay, so I will try to rephrase the question.
If I experience something and pass it to you, it will never be like if you experience it yourself. It always will be lesser
Yes.
and different.
Okay.
But I can do the best possible communication
Yes.
if the conditions are fulfilled.
I will say, for when I went into the dialogue, I really more could understand the paradigms that I am showing here, and maybe is it what is Aldous Huxley is talking about? Is he was wondering when he started to write this book that could he, with the masculine experience, achieve to know fully the experience of, suppose, being Johann Sebastian Bach, or being.
He thought he will.
It's a question that he's raising,
Okay.
regarding the nature of experience.
Okay.
Can it be fully passed? Can you really know how it is to be somebody else? And this book, it has to do with consciousness and opening the doors of perception. And there is a hidden promise, maybe, that if your consciousness is in a high enough state, you will have the option, or the door will open to you to know fully somebody else's experience.
Consciousness is not about knowing experience.
Yes.
Consciousness is about understanding. That's what consciousness is about.
Yes.
It's not about feeling. Experience is about feeling.
So if two illusions...
If I develop my consciousness,
Yes.
it wouldn't help me to feel what you're feeling.
To know, to experience what I...
Knowing is not feeling. Feeling is experiencing.
Yes.
Knowing is understanding.
Okay.
It's two different things. I can understand what it means that you passed a road accident. I can understand what it means that you broke certain bones.
Yes.
But you can talk to me and you can pass to me the feeling of the accident and how does it feel with broken bones. It's got no understanding in it, but it's feeling.
Yes.
It's two different departments. Knowing is knowing, feeling is feeling. Consciousness is consciousness and experience is experience.
Yes.
What's the problem?
The problem is that
I try to make a separation and I feel that somehow it's difficult for you to accept it.
somehow I make a mishmash out of it.
Why is it important to you that knowing and experiencing...
I saw the synergy between them. That
Hopefully, and I wrote it somewhere, we should know what we experience and we should experience what we know.
yes.
But it doesn't mean that it's the same thing. We should have dialogue between them.
Yes. There is a tension between them.
But to have a dialogue you need to have separate entities, because if you don't have separate entities you can't have a dialogue. You can't have a dialogue with yourself.
Yes. I understand. So you're actually saying that using consciousness will not solve the question?
It's got nothing to do with it.
Yes.
The fact that I'm conscious of something will not help me to pass the experience to another human being. If I love you and I feel intimate with you and I'm open to you, I can pass the experience even if I don't have consciousness.
Yes. But to know that you experience
Experience is to do with the soul.
Yes.
And knowing is to do with consciousness and the mind.
Yes.
It's two different departments. Like I don't expect the foreign office to be able to act like the finance office.
Yes.
It's two different offices. They exist in the same country, they could exchange, they could have dialogue.
Yes.
Why do I feel that you've got a problem when I do separation between both?
Yes.
What kind of problem does it pose to you? It seems that I sort of ruined a certain concept that you had.
I feel that, or I don't know if I feel is the right term.
You feel that if you develop your consciousness, it will help you communicate experience.
Yes. This is what I started from, and this is what I was hoping for.
Why?
Because it's, I can only think of one answer, which is to break the barriers of alienation using consciousness.
Yeah, but you could wish to break the barriers of alienation just because you don't want alienation, and you wouldn't mind if it's happening through openness and good dynamics or consciousness, but you mind. You want it to be consciousness. And I tell you why. Because you want one solution to everything. You are fanat
Yes.
about consciousness. You are missionary.
Yes.
You carry the flag of consciousness and say that will be the answer to all your problems.
Yes.
And I'm saying something very simple. This world misses two things.
Yes.
Consciousness and humanity.
Yes.
Humanity is an experience, consciousness is a knowing.
Yes.
Two separate entities. One entity is to do with the soul, Shakti,
Yes.
that's experience, and one with Shiva, consciousness.
Yes.
One couldn't act instead of the other. You could be very, very conscious, but lacking humanity. You will be a monster.
Yes.
You can be full of experience in humanity and openness and good feelings and positive dynamics, but low level of consciousness, you will be illumined idiot.
Yes.
What Gurdjieff called it.
Yes.
When you work on one, you should free the other.
Yes.
And when you free the one, you should work on the other.
Yes.
A person who wants to develop should work on his soul and communication, and should work on his understanding, knowing and consciousness.
Yes.
Both at the same time.
Amazing. and you have balanced me in the fanatic here. I think that's 100% correct bullseye. Thank you very much.
Okay.